I hope a lot of them ask us for opinions about ourselves and of each other.
We're live on the internet right
Some
now.
of them do.
Everything.
It's called a Ruination stream for a reason. Welcome to the Idle Thumbs Ruination Online for August 2017.
Are we online?
We are currently online streaming to Twitch, but most of you listening are probably hearing this on the podcast feed or on YouTube. Welcome to everyone.
No one listens to this on YouTube. Hi, YouTubers. Hey, guys.
From Idle Thumbs, I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
Don't have a joke there, I guess.
No, I genuinely zoned out. Sorry, I'm Jake Rodkin.
Oh,
I didn't try to say something
I
funny.
am broken.
On this stream, we answer the questions posed to us by high-tier Patreon backers.
High-tier Patreon backers.
To our campaign at patreon.com/idlethumbs and answer them for the benefit of everybody. Whatever benefit.
Whatever tier you're on.
Benefit is a word that we use just now, loosely.
Should we get going?
Yeah.
Should we start ruining it by answering questions?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Our first question comes to us from Nick Cornick, who annoyingly asks, what question do you hope nobody ever asks you on a Ruination stream?
Got it in
you
one.
You don't actually need to answer the question this time. And yeah, the only answer is this one. I'm pretty sure this is the second month in a row this person or another person has asked us this question. Isn't it? Do you guys have a memory of someone asking us this question in the past?
I don't know. You ever wish you could turn back time? I don't know.
This is the question, Nick Cornick. This is the one that I hope no one ever asks us again. I'm sorry that is true, but it is. Moving on.
I have a secret answer, but I will reveal it. No, I will reveal it later on in the podcast when it is surely asked.
Wait,
what?
Really?
Oh, have you read that book or seen that Linklater movie or whatever?
You can't ask me that question. You're not a Patreon backer. Get the fuck out of here.
I am a Patreon
Next.
backer. $5.
No.
It's not enough to ask a question.
Ugh.
Evan Parker asks, which robot, fictional or otherwise, do you think would be least likely to kill you in the inevitable robot revolution? And how do you think your co-hosts' answers will manage to kill them anyway? Least likely. I mean oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
There's so many answers to this, right? That it's sort
just
of
the benevolent robots that exist in media, right?
Like part of the difficulty of answering this question is what counts as a robot now.
Well, the other part is the least, right? I mean, you've got
That's
to find
what I mean.
them. Yeah, well, yes, but
it just presupposes they're all potentially going to kill you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, is that air conditioning unit over there? Does that count as a robot? It kind of looks like a robot in the old school
It needs to have a face.
sense. But does it though?
No.
Because I feel like there are eel robots and weird spider robots that don't have faces.
Spiders have faces. Eels have faces.
What have faces?
Eels.
Eels? I mean, okay, but there's...
Eels.
I mean, sure, they do. I mean,
eels have a wacky face.
I mean, yes, I'm aware that the actual animals that are eels have faces. What I'm
we just
saying
exposed you as a replicant or something. Eels don't have faces.
So
No, but what I mean is...
Chris is off the list.
No, but what I mean is when people describe a robot as being like an eel, they don't mean that you're trying to recreate the animal.
Sure,
that is,
it's just a
they're
strange
just
little wriggling
the
thing.
Closest
Okay.
comparison to like movement style, and they can swim probably.
Yeah.
Face.
I mean, you've
presence.
seen those, right? There's robots that are basically inflatable bags that like squeeze through holes.
Inflatable bag.
I mean,
that's your answer.
No, those ones are
no,
not
an inflatable
unlikely.
bag would
Those
fuck you
ones
up.
are-
I know.
yeah,
That's what I'm
those are-
saying. You could stick your head in that and get stuck.
Exactly. Those are as likely to kill you intentionally as they are to kill you because you're misusing the bag.
Something that is very difficult for you to kill yourself with and for it to kill you.
Right. You need both of those.
Yeah, because that air conditioner could just fall on you.
Yeah,
and you're done.
Right.
on
It has wheels.
If you actually look on average, if you average it out, more people are killed by
Vending machines
falling on them than by sort of international terrorist incidents. On American soil. So it's like you could sort of just imagine.
So vending machines off the list.
Vending machines, are the least likely robot to kill you. But there are probably robots that kill fewer people than that.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the eel bags or whatever.
Right.
choice?
I don't know. It's hard to answer the least likely.
Yeah.
It's a difficult question to answer. I mean, in terms of like how our answers to this would get us killed, my answer would get me killed by me just like sitting around fucking thinking emojiing this bullshit.
And then a vending machine falls on you.
Yeah, until through intention or negligence, I am killed by a robot.
Yeah. Do you have an answer for this, Jake?
I mean, I assume that one of the three hosts of Idle Thumbs is probably a robot. So
but
the way that your answer will come back to
less likely to kill you. Is that your implication?
No, it's just whatever I predict. There'll be some cruel irony of one of you saying you thought it was going to be the air conditioner, and then
shank.
Yeah, and then just I'm done.
Fair enough.
You think it's going to be a Terminator, but then it turns out he's a good guy. So you can never predict.
It's your fucking fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kills you by not refrigerating your food well enough.
Yeah,
and then you consume bacteria and die.
That's actually a scary thought.
Yeah, what if someone
just an automated cooking
fridge?
machine that's just been hacked? And
the stamper that stamps the expiration dates on your food makes them expire 2 weeks later than they actually do. So you're eating 2-week-old food all the time.
Oh God, that actually is a more like
horrible.
That's
plot.
a more palpable nightmare to me than any like overt killer robot.
It actually expired just 6 hours ago.
Oh no!
Except you know what's the worst part about that is that nothing about expiration dates is real or means anything.
Yeah.
So I know that's why.
That's the fucking O. Henry ending to this story is your expiration dates are already meaningless and incorrect. So
they give people a sense of safety.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes food goes bad, but it has no direct correlation to those days.
Right. Okay, well, I think we answered that tidily. Daniel asks, with the disastrous crash of the USS Ruination behind us, which of the three survivors would last the longest? The conceit of this question aside, it is possible that Nick's anxieties may actually metamorphose into a primal series of reptile brain survival instincts. Maybe Chris's finely tuned ear would give him a penchant for hearing wild predators, and maybe Jake's attention to the subtleties of UI design would somehow translate into, I don't know, finding berries or something. I know that shoehorns will not help you in the dense jungle canopy. TLDR, who is going to survive in the wilderness? His answers were actually not that far off from my... I didn't really have an answer for myself, but in terms of for you guys, I do think Nick's sort of neuroses and anxieties would probably sublimate into something that would give you a kind of like fucked up sense of acceptance and peace in the situation and allow you to deal with it paradoxically rationally.
Yeah, the few times where I've been in life or death situations, I've actually like found my brain switching into that, which is surprising.
Okay, describe two of the few.
Well, I mean, look.
Sorry, I would never start a sentence with the few times I've been in life or death situations.
No, I mean, all right. No, we're moving on. No matter what I say, this is not going to end up in a situation where you accept what I'm saying.
No? Is hillbilly ATV like whooping and hollering, chasing you through Vermont or whatever? Is that an example of one of those?
Well, I mean,
totally counts.
I did almost die hitting a deer and going off a cliff. So yeah, that's in the category.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not intending to disagree with that. I'm just saying.
There was another time where I was on a plane in a thunderstorm, and the plane, you're going into Reagan National, which, if you know anything about Reagan National,
I've flown into it a couple times.
Yeah, because of the White House airspace, you have to bank really quickly and then land immediately.
Yeah.
And because of this thunderstorm, I was on the left side of the plane, which is the side that it banks down to. And I looked down and you've got like maybe 15 seconds before you're on the ground as it turns. And I look down and there's just like a 747 on the runway where we're about to land.
Oh, that's what almost happened.
In a fucking thunderstorm.
That happened recently
where the
SFO.
plane is just buckling, 500 feet at a time. And the pilot just like saw it as we were going down and then just gunned the engines. But then that sent us straight into the thunderstorm cell.
Right.
At which point everybody started screaming because the plane was bouncing up and down like crazy and like things were hitting the ceiling. And the woman next to me was just like, we're going to die. And I was like, it's fine.
And
I am the worst.
Anxiety.
I
You're
know.
Like terrified
it was
of
a weird moment where I was actually just like, this happens all the time. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So I think I would actually react like a fucking weirdo. Yeah. Anyway.
But like the good kind of fucking
weirdo.
weirdo.
Yeah. Like the kind that would.
Well, did you see that same thing was like a huge incident in SFO a couple of weeks ago when a plane almost landed on top of another plane?
Happens more than you'd want to know about.
I think it probably happens extremely rarely, but more than never.
That version was a bad one.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of go-arounds.
Sure. Oh, sure, yeah. In Jake's case, I feel like Jake would legitimately be sort of handy in useful ways. I feel like you'd be able to jury-rig things with like vines and shit. I don't know. You'd make like a shelf. You know, some
6-second
like
vines.
Gilligan's Island fucking shelves and shit like that.
I'd make some vines for sure.
Yeah. Hey guys, just stranded on this island, and then
back at it again on this island.
Yeah, you would actually make a bunch of vines, waiting to upload them for when you are eventually rescued.
Did I get off the island like they killed Vine? Vine's gone. Shit!
God
Fuck
damn
this! I'm going back.
I jerry-rigged a fucking battery charger to keep my phone charged so I could make all these great vines.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea how I would do. But it's true, shoehorns wouldn't help me. I could probably construct one of the long shoehorns out of like a bamboo shoot or something.
So shoehorns wouldn't help you in ways other than they would help you put your shoes on comfortably.
Exactly, they would help you in the exact same way they already do.
Keep your feet clear of blisters. You know, it's important.
Yeah,
it's important in this situation. That we'll never be in.
David Chang says, thumbs, indulge me with this question. With your history of stellar goatee content over the years, have you ever considered creating awards for the Wizard Jam? Also, if you did run awards, would you consider calling them the Wizzies, named in the same vein as the ESPYs? This dumb name has been stuck in my head for the last year, and I have wondered what your thoughts are on it. I like that he's been wondering for a year what our thoughts are about this secret name that we've never heard before. I mean, I think the Wizzies is a good name. I like it because it sort of sounds like whiz and sort of like taking a pee in a way.
It makes me think of like a wizard doing the Calvin and Hobbes sticker.
Oh, like the Calvin peeing Calvin.
The Calvin peeing, but it's just a wizard doing that.
A peeing wizard with the smirk of the peeing Calvin would be
store.idlethumbs.net.
That would be good. Who wants to illustrate that for us so we can sell it at store.idlethumbs.net? I mean, we'll pay the person.
Sure.
Obviously.
Oh, I bet Stefan would actually make that stupid thing if we asked him. He'd be like, "Oh, it's been a long time. You're a hard man to find." He's like, "I'm not a hard man to find. I've offered to make sure it's like multiple times." Anyway, make this pissing wizard. The Wizzies. I'm personally glad the Wizard Jam doesn't have awards.
Jake is talking about someone who illustrated the Idle Thumbs logo.
We talked over each other and ruined it. Yeah, but
yeah, because I wanted to explain what you were referring to.
I know, but I just kept talking like an asshole.
That's okay. I was the asshole. Continue.
Oh, I just like that Wizard Jam doesn't have awards.
Oh, okay. I do too. I think I don't think Wizard Jam would be improved by adding a judgment or hierarchy component to it.
Yeah, I mean, you could have awards, but then it just says, "I, the wizard, declare we are all winners."
That's true.
And then he pees.
I do think that the concept of the Wizzies is a great one because it has resulted in me thinking about the idea of a pissing wizard sticker.
I think if you, in the sort of, from the song The Wizard, you know how you have the sort of deep fantasy man voice?
Yeah.
I think if that just said, "We are all winners in the Wizzies," and then you say Wizzies, and that's all that the Wizzies is. It's just an excuse to make you do a stupider version of an already stupid song.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I could also imagine doing a new version of that song in which Alex Ashby, narrator of Something True, provides the wizard narration.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that would be good. I feel like he'd be good at that. If he could just deepen his voice a bit.
It would be a very different feeling.
It would be a very different feeling, but it might be an interesting feeling. It might surprise and delight you.
I would describe the Wizzies as a different and interesting feeling.
Sari Nichols, Cherry, I don't know how to, I'm sorry that I'm doing your name badly, writes, how do you think Nintendo's fortunes would have differed over the last 8 years if they'd released the horse bag in 2009 to massive commercial success? I would say the horse bag would definitely place high in the annual Wizzies peripherals category.
Oh, man.
Definite give a Wizzy to a horse bag for sure.
I find the specifics of this question, they kind of make it all self-evident, because as much as we've always felt that we love the horse bag and that the rest of the world should love the horse bag, this question presupposes that the horse bag was released to massive commercial success. So it's safe to say that...
Well, but the question is what would Nintendo's fortune
They would be massively successful.
Well, with farmers. I mean,
no. I mean, the horse bag is a massive commercial success. The world is going gaga for this bag.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's just everyone's...
God, should we recap horse bag for people who haven't been listening to this podcast for fucking 9 years or however long it's been?
Nintendo has a patent, I think somewhere in Europe, for a Wii peripheral. This was at the height of like Nintendo Wii mania.
Yeah.
The peripheral was an inflatable sort of like balloon that sits on your floor that has like a horse saddle on it.
Yeah, almost like a beanbag chair.
Yeah, but it's like an inflatable one. It's like an inflatable toy that you plug a Wii remote into.
Yeah,
and then
it
you
has
can
a horse head.
It has a horse head
sticking out the front of it.
Yeah, it sort of has like a blob, right? Or is it a full horse?
I thought
head?
it was a modeled horse head stuck onto the blob bag, the horse bag.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
And then on the TV screen, no, there's not a horse head, because on the TV screen, the patent illustration is a first-person perspective where you see the horse head on the TV. So like you could play with your Guitar Hero guitar, or you could play with your Tony Hawk skateboard, or in Nintendo's mind, that had to have been paired with a Zelda game, right? There was surely like
Zelda.
Just inflate your Epona.
Inflate your Epona, your Epona horse bag.
So, had that been really successful...
Everything about this is just gross.
You know what? Had the horse bag been successful and had a huge commercial success, it would suck horribly, because I bet Breath of the Wild wouldn't exist. There'd just be some shitty horse game.
Or you would have to buy...
There might just be a horse game.
Instead of finding horses in Breath of the Wild, you would have to buy different horse bags. And that would be sort of like a horse bag amiibos.
Yeah, like amiibos, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
you have to buy
plug in your
separate
different horse bag.
Well, yeah, this is the Epona horse bag. This is the whatever horse bag. Yeah, name your own horse bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Pair your horse bag.
Horse bag pairing.
NFC horse bag is the name. Let's see here. Jussie.
Breath of the Wild will be 10x better with a horse bag, says chat. Incorrect.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He or she or whoever this person is from an alternate dimension where the horse bag was a success, and they were pissed that Nintendo abandoned the horse bag when the Switch came out.
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong.
Imagine taking your horse bag with you, because the Switch, the big selling point, one of them anyway, is that it's a portable system.
Right.
You have your full horse bag, but then you've got your travel horse bag, and it's more of it's like a pool. It's like what are those big long things
noodles.
you take? The pool is like a pool noodle.
Okay.
It's like a half-size
like
pool noodle horse bag, like compact horse bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Horse bag to go.
Horse bag to go. Exactly. Yeah.
That's like you open up your clamshell Nintendo DS, but inside that it just a little horse bag. Just a little horse bag.
And they call it a doggy bag.
Oh, nice. Nice. No, that was good.
That's
I like
for when
that.
you ride a dog around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just the portable version. All right, Juicy writes, Jussie, I'm sorry again for what I'm doing to everyone's names, writes, this is mainly for Chris. What is your composing workflow like? How do you go from a song idea to a finished track? How do you come up with ideas? Do you usually start with a specific instrument? I've been getting more into music making in the past few months, and I'm really interested in the different ways people approach composing and music production. I'm especially fascinated by streams where people make songs live, since they really show the details of how different people work. But that's never going to happen on idle thumbs, right? I've always enjoyed the songs Chris has made and how diverse they are in style. Thank you. I think it would be fun to do a stream in which I made some music live, but I don't know. I already struggle with having enough time to do
anything.
So I would really like to do that. I really, really would. I need to find out a way that I can do it that would, one, make sense in my schedule, and two, allow me to not be crippled by like inferiority complex and like insecurity. Like it feels like doing that live in real time would require a level of confidence and expertise that feels like out of reach. But maybe the fact that I feel that way would be a good way to develop those
Yeah, you'd have to like get yourself in the same mind space as when you're building a Planet Coaster ride or something, where it's like, it's going to be about this. Well,
I mean, it's so different because in Planet Coaster, it's like the possibility space is fucking enormous, definitely, but it's also like.
Well, I mean, come on, Chris. There's only so many notes.
I just mean that, like, when you make a song, it can be literally anything at all. But when you make a theme park in Planet Coaster, you're still making
a theme park.
A Planet Coaster theme park.
I wasn't being serious
with
any of the things that I just said.
But, I mean, there are certain kinds of music that actually, I mean, just since you've mentioned it, there are probably certain kinds of music, like ambient styles, that you could probably make a stream, and people have maybe or probably done this, that are probably more akin to a Planet Coaster stream, where the point of it is kind of like chilling out and slowly layering stuff over time, as opposed to like composing something with any sort of structure or like intricate like.
Or you could ask. You could either ask chat or beforehand just decide I'm going to write.
That'd be the version of it I would probably do, because that if you say like I'm gonna write a song about such and like chat toss some example like lyrics or whatever, because then at least you're sort of improvising on a theme or a concept, which is kind of what a Planet Coaster stream is like.
Yeah, there are walls that are coming up from chat that help you actually find the box to fill.
Yeah, and that's kind of what podcasting is to some degree as well. But in terms of how I start, I don't know. It really depends. My favorite way to start is on an actual real like full piano, but I don't have access to that most of the time. So often when I find myself in front of a piano in a private setting, not like just at a friend's house or something, which I not what I mean. But if I like visit my dad's house, for instance, like he has a piano there, and I will often use that as an excuse to just like sit down and record a bunch of stuff into just the voice notes on my phone, because for whatever reason I find that there is something, at least for me, that is psychologically like materially different about sitting down at a real piano with a full keyboard, a full real mechanical piano, that even at my even my sort of smaller electromechanical piano at home doesn't quite achieve. There's just something about it that I find like really inspiring. That sounds cheesy, but I mean it in a literal sense, not in a like I'm an inspired person. I just mean it literally like is easier to come up with ideas. Other than that, I'll start at a guitar or just a regular keyboard. I don't know. This is one of those impossible to answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had the life that I wanted, I would have a real piano in my own home, and that would help.
Home.
I know, right? Anyway, Michael Sawin says, we've gotten streams from both Chris and Nick at this point. When will we see Jake streaming his newest favorite game? If Jake had to stream something, what would it be? P.S. Chris, I loved your RimWorld stream. Please do another series.
I've been meaning for like 6 months now to do a stream of Monkey Island 1 and 2 with Marius Winter.
That'd be great.
We keep talking about doing it, but I keep pushing it off, and then he pushed it off a couple times, but it's mostly me. Also, my upstream at my house is a nightmare. Like I've tried to play, I keep trying to play PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds at home, and I just get like lagged out all the time. My apartment has the worst wiring of all time, which is not a great excuse because I could just come into this stupid room and do it. But also,
or you could do a YouTube Let's Play.
I could. That's not fun.
Fair enough.
But yeah, one day, Myas and I will do that.
That's cool.
Video one day.
Nice.
He might hear this, and then I'll get a Twitter DM saying, "Hey, when are we doing that video?"
Yeah.
But I would love to play through those games on stream.
Yeah, that'll be a good stream.
Especially with that guy. We're both big,
you're
huge
both
dorks
the right
about that
people
game.
To do that. Yeah, definitely. I would like to do more streams. I mean, as I said in the answer to the last question, I guess just need to find stuff that I can find the time for. You planning on doing any? You were gonna stream something recently, Nick, and I guess you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
What were you gonna stream? I forget. Oh, it was that manufacturing game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think we stream stuff, Chris? We stream this Ruination cast only.
It's true. Seems to be true currently. Reggie Clark says, if you were a tiki cocktail, would you want to know? Hey, Chris, my wife loves the beach and tropical cocktails. She is a fan of spiced rum. Any advice for a cocktail I can make for her? Since this question was, I would like your guys' answers as well, but I'll start since it was posed to me. I have actually never consumed spiced rum I've just never had it. I've never bought it or
I
had
have,
it.
but never in a cocktail. Or probably if I have, I haven't known it. It's not actually that commonly used in like tiki cocktails, I don't think.
It's really not. And I confirmed that by searching the Beach Bum Berries Total Tiki app, which is my go-to for just like quickly finding tiki recipes if I'm not doing like a deep dive into something, which it has over 250 recipes, so it's fairly comprehensive. And spiced rum, I think the reason spiced rum is rarely used in cocktails is because you could achieve the same effect with more precision and control by simply using non-spiced rum and then spicing it,
and then putting the spices into the cocktail.
Yeah. Like the problem with
drink,
with like spiced rum as a thing is that it can mean anything from like a bit of vanilla up to like a complex mix of spices. And if you're making a cocktail, if you just have a spiced rum that you like to drink straight, that's one thing because you can say, oh, I like this because it has these flavors in it.
Right.
But if you're making a cocktail, you're mixing it with a bunch of other things, and if you don't have control over the ingredients in it, then you're not going to be able to make a predictable, like a consistent cocktail, and that is a problem. But I did because I wanted to be able to provide a direct answer to this question in addition to that sort of more philosophical answer. There is one recipe in this app for spiced rum, and it was created for a seminar in Bratislava hosted by or sponsored by Captain Morgan Spiced Rum.
Okay.
And it was created by a acclaimed bartender named Stanislav Vadrna, and it is Captain Vadrna's Grog, and it includes spiced rum, white grapefruit juice, fresh lime juice, demerara sugar syrup, and Angostura bitters. Sounds like a pretty good combo of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, generally speaking, you're not going to use spiced rum in cocktails. I would say try making some cocktails with falernum. Like look up some cocktails that use falernum because falernum is basically a like spiced syrup that might get you to like that might capture some of the things your wife likes about spiced rum. Also look up recipes that involve like vanilla extract because I think vanilla is the primary like first ingredient that spiced rum uses in terms of spice. Like I think a lot of spiced rum is just vanilla added. So anyway, I don't know if either of you guys have any thoughts about this.
I think that you've answered that more comprehensively than anyone expected.
I don't like spiced rum, so I don't drink it.
Yeah. I mean, I've never had it, so I mean, yeah. I would say that in general, like if you want to start making tiki drinks, make a Mai Tai. Like start by making a Mai Tai. It is a classic drink. And people like them because it's good. Ben von Handorf says, oh, weird lead-in from that previous question. Beyond Chris's known old man tendencies and tiki drinks, what are your strange hobbies? I've recently discovered fountain pens and find them pretty fascinating.
Is this the person who sent us that fountain pen?
I don't know.
Someone. Hello, if you sent us fountain pens, let us know.
What do you do in your free time that hardly anyone else is into? So yeah, someone did send us 3 fountain pens and some ink.
Yeah.
So if you're that person, thank you. I couldn't figure out who it was, but that was like an incredibly kind gesture, and definitely not cheap.
Yeah,
thank you.
I build and maintain an amateur audio-video recording studio.
That's totally true.
That is true. That is a thing that you do.
The real answer is this stuff, probably.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big example of it.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything that other people don't do.
Oh, I definitely do. It's all the like miles and points travel stuff that I do.
Okay,
that is a fucking I don't encounter anybody ever in actual real life who does. That's actually not true. Adam Nace, Sean's like childhood friend, Sean's best friend, is into that stuff, as I learned within the last couple of years. But yeah, it is rare that I find people who are into it at least to the degree that I am. Doug Tobacco does a bit of it. Okay, not as much. I had an encounter, I had a funny experience when I was right about to move out of our old place, Nick. Do you remember that guy, Daniel, who was our roommate for a while? When I was moving out of that apartment, I want to say like 2 days or something before I left, we were in the kitchen and he was having breakfast. And he was like, hey, do you post on Flyer Talk? Which is just like the forum for all this shit. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I saw your trip report on Flyer Talk and it had your name. And I'm like, oh, that's my roommate. So it turns out from like months and months, that guy had shared this incredibly weird specific hobby.
Good.
And we just didn't know that because it's not a thing that doesn't really come up ever in conversation.
Right.
But yeah, I am deep into like frequent flyer miles and points and using them for travel. For free and upgraded travel.
For personal gain.
Yeah. I mean, Nick, I would say your like regional food stuff, I feel like that kind of, that is a thing that I don't know many people who get into to the degree that you do.
That's maybe true.
Yeah.
I do get obsessive about it.
Yeah.
So sure. Yeah.
You do love it.
I do.
I feel like a lot of Jake's things would be obvious to people who listen to our podcasts because a lot of them intersect with.
Yeah.
I feel like Jake has a lot of areas of
all the
interest.
things that I like are the same shit that I do all the time, so I'm miserable.
What? Oh, lame.
Sorry.
Brian Brannon writes, are there any upcoming games, movies, TV shows, or books which you are anticipating being released? If not, what was the last thing you were anticipating coming out? Good question.
That Orient Express.
Oh, the Orient Express movie.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. The Kenneth Branagh one.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
I bet it's going to be bad.
It's probably going to be bad.
Really? You think so?
It might be fun.
Oh, man. I'm expecting to enjoy it.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it as well, but I think it's going to be suspicious.
Yeah.
The last, man, I felt bad about it, but I was really excited for Star Wars Episode 7. Like, I was legitimately excited for that to come out. I mean, it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often, but I was also really, 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 really looking forward to Mad Max Fury Road because all anyone said about it was that it was just ridiculous.
I was too.
And then I really like that as well.
It was really good, yeah.
It doesn't happen that often anymore for me, though. I mean, like, as a teen, basically, I always had, like, 5 dorky things that I was eagerly anticipating every day. Yeah.
Jurassic World 2.
So stoked for Jurassic World, for JW2.
This is a goofy one, but I am, because it's been so long that I've been waiting for it. I'm really anticipating
George R.R. Martin's next Game of Thrones book.
No, it is a book though. It is the third.
Oh, right.
Fuck yeah, though.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Fuck yeah, but no, the third, and I believe, unless she changes it, the final book in Hilary Mantel's Thomas Cromwell trilogy that started with Wolf Hall, and then the second book was Bring Up the Bodies, and the third of those, whose names I actually don't remember the name of it, but that has been like
Wolf Hall 3.
That has been like seemingly on the verge of being completed for like years now. The second one, it seems like she wrote it relatively quickly, and it was great. It was fantastic. Wolf Hall, the first one they're both great, and a lot of people prefer the second book, but Wolf Hall, the first one, is absolutely one of my favorite novels in the last like decade. I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I'm really, really excited about the third one, and it's just been coming out. It's been in the works for ages, so I'm very much looking forward to that being done. And she's written a bunch of like essays and stuff in the meantime that are also very good.
Chat probably incorrectly says that its title is Return of the Wolf. That's what I want.
Yeah, if only.
Nice.
But yeah, Nick. Yes, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I am so excited. That also has just been years and years since we've gotten one, which was
partly because
Larry
David just seemed to say, I'm done with it for now, right?
Well, he'd always been, I mean, the first few seasons, I guess, were year by year, but then as it went on, he sort of...
There were a couple
every
of
now and then.
It was like he'd do one whenever, but I think this has been the longest gap, maybe?
Oh, for sure, I think so.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Could be wrong,
I think. Yeah,
it has been a minute.
Yeah, but I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Yep.
Stephen Norrie asks, if you had to create a stereotypical startup that does menial tasks for rich, lazy millennials, what would you go for? So this was, we answered this question in the episode of Important If True that released on August 24th. So
people on Twitch chat are like, what the fuck is happening?
If you're watching the stream live, that is in the future. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, it is either in the future or in the past. I don't have no idea. I don't know when this comes out. So, it's a mystery. Enjoy. Enjoy that question on Important If True, I think 26, I want to say. Robert Yost asks, if you were to open an arcade, what are some of your must-have arcade and pinball machines?
Jesus. Clacks?
That's what I was going to
Rampart?
say. Clacks. Fucking Clacks. It is the 90s, and there's time for it.
I mean, the Idle Thumb's canonical good arcade games we talked about all the time are probably Rampart and Clacks.
Yeah. Rampart is definitely one that I would never played growing up and was shocked to find how incredibly fun it is when we played it together at a, I don't know, California Extreme or something like that. I didn't really grow up playing a lot of arcade games, though. That's been mentioned on this podcast before.
Have either of you guys played the arcade game The Outfoxies? I think it's a ridiculous.
I've seen people mention it, but I don't. I've never played it.
It's some mid '90s game, and it's like the basic mechanics of Smash Brothers, kind of, where it's like a multiplayer brawler, like lots of jumping and trying to damage each other until they die or fly off the level. Except that it's all themed. It's all themed around sort of like 80s, early 90s action cinema, like, you know, not Die Hard, but like the sequels that come out of that, where it's just a bunch of characters blowing each other up, but then the floor collapses, and then suddenly everyone's inside of a giant ballroom, and then a helicopter comes flying through that floor, and then you're fighting inside of a basement,
Right, sure.
and then it floods. It's a ridiculous...
That's cool. Do you know who made it? You might have said it.
It's a Namco game, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah, Namco.
It's one that I only know from MAME. I've never played it on a real arcade cabinet, but I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to play like a 4-up joysticks version of that. If I had an arcade, I would have that game in it. My love of Smash Brothers and my love of just cheese garbage would combine in a great way.
There was an old arcade game called Major something. Major Havoc. Okay, it was a 1983 Atari game, and it's really, really interesting. It is a game where you play this titular character, obviously, who has to sort of escape from a space station, I think, that's going to explode. But the thing that is amazing about it is that it totally changes from stage to stage. Like, it just turns into a different game each time. And it's all vertex art. So it is that really cool, like, total kind of sort of futurist...
Right.
Like futurism of the 80s style of just this really simple and striking line art. And my memory of it, if I'm remembering correctly, is that as it morphs from stage to stage and the premise changes from level to level, the screen like redraws itself, the vertex screen redraws itself by like using the lines from the previous stage, and they sort of morph
like
into
Flash tween
the next stage. Yeah, but not like Flash, because they're all perfect pixel width lines. So you don't get that gross like squishing that you do with Flash.
Well, they're not pixel width lines. If it's actually like the beam that's drawing.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, if you were rendering it on a LCD screen, they would be pixel width lines. But it is just really cool, and that was another game that I discovered at whatever Classic Arcade Expo it was, where we
California Extreme, probably.
I think it was California Extreme, and I just remember being struck by how ahead of its time it felt, in the way that games of that time somehow were able to, because genres hadn't been solidified to the point that there was a formula to break out of, you know? So like the ones that...
what can I do with this thing?
Yeah, and the ones that in categories that didn't end up becoming genres end up feeling like weird out of time outliers. Yeah, it's I mean, like also like a lot of those games, it's very finicky and difficult and like kind of annoying, but the things that are unique about it are so cool and unusual that I would love to have that a bit commonly available. And my memory is also that I believe it had one of those unusual input methods. Like I think it was a wheel, maybe, that you spin clockwise and counterclockwise. And that is
when I think of a game called Major Havoc, the thing that I think about is just sort of like a dial that you turn.
Yeah, and I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's
safe
how it
to
works.
assume that it's just like a knob.
I think it was a knob, but you can, because a knob basically means. It means either left, right, but it can also mean rotational. And I believe there was one of the stages that was sort of asteroids-like. So it was actually a fairly good input method. And it's also the kind of thing that would be cooler in an arcade than on your computer, on an emulator, where you're just using your keyboard or a controller or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, I like that. Nick, do you have any examples?
I mean, the arcade games that I enjoyed as a kid, I don't think I would enjoy now.
Oh, sure.
My real secret answer... that is garbage.
Yeah.
That is not real, but maybe in fact the real answer
Uh-huh.
is just like 1,000 shitty claw games.
Oh yeah.
I fucking
Oh,
love
wow.
my
Were you, like,
personality.
try and get a prize?
My personality combines with
Yeah,
a claw
that
game
totally
to create
tracks.
just an obsession.
Yeah,
of,
that's
like I
no
need
surprise.
to beat this stupid
Yeah.
thing. It's not outright cheating, but it's definitely screwing me over somehow, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna fucking destroy this thing
Yeah.
until I get this stupid toy that I don't want. Like I was at the Japanese Mall in San Francisco a week and a half ago and played one of those things. Remembered when I went to Japan, I wasted I don't know how many dollars because I was just paying in yen, but I wasted so much money winning this stupid thing in a Japanese arcade. It was like the only game I played in Japan was just this one claw game to win this one thing, and I was just like bound and determined, and I fucking did it.
Was
and I
Janelle
was
with
so
you?
happy. No, this
Oh
was,
no,
this
that
was
was
a long time ago.
Okay, what about recently in the mall?
Oh yeah, she
Janelle
was
with
there.
you? Okay,
Yeah.
So
She
that's
watched
like
me destroy $10.
That's like a multiplier,
Yeah, she
right?
watched me
Because you have
burn.
someone, another human being, witness to your failure if you don't succeed.
Oh yeah, it was like.
Did you succeed?
No.
Oh no!
No.
Did you
No.
succeed in Japan?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Like I got like a big stuffed animal that took up
Nice.
way too much room in my luggage. I was
Yeah,
very happy.
yeah.
Did you guys ever go to the Metreon when it was owned by Sony?
Yes,
Did
and they
you
had a
go- they
Sony
had that
store
crazy
and
arcade in there,
everything.
yeah.
Did you go? Yeah, when they were like almost out of business and they had like one entire huge store that was just claw games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
It was like basically the
think
same
Yeah.
claw game, like
Well, in Japan,
dozens and dozens of them.
yeah, in Japan, that's
Wow.
what like a lot of arcades are. It's just
Yeah,
claw
I
games.
just never
Thousands.
seen-
Like,
I just never
hundreds-
seen one of
claw
those.
games
Wow.
everywhere. Oh
Wow.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I love it.
that
I
was
love
just
it.
like a winding, twisting hallway
Yeah.
of
what a
of like
strange
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it is very. It's very odd,
Yeah,
but I love it.
That's a Target now.
it is. It's a city Target. Okay. Oh, and as for pinball, I don't know. I never really got into pinball enough to have any
Same.
opinions about pinball or know anything about pinball.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the weird sort of 80s and 90s era movie licensed pinballs with like
Oh, man.
off-model art of the characters and
Yes.
stuff. That stuff is very
Yeah,
good.
I would just
I
probably
love a
want like the
licensed
Star Trek: The Next
pinball.
Generation one because it would be funny to me to just constantly hear little blips
Engage.
of Patrick Stewart
Yeah.
saying "engage" in the background. Yeah,
Right.
Yep.
that's fine.
Make it so.
Mhm.
Make
Make it.
it so. Punch the keys. Alex Schroeder writes, with the Defenders out this weekend, what do you think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it stands? In particular, do you think there's too much now with 3 movies and multiple seasons of TV a year, or does the quality match the quantity?
Man, Janelle was like, let's watch the first episode of The Defenders. I know it's going to be terrible, but let's watch it. And I was like, fine. It was so god-awful. I mean, like, it feels like it's just trending down at this point, like severely.
Yeah.
To me, anyway.
I don't think any of the TV shows have been good. I watched Jessica Jones and I liked it fine, but I watched
Yeah.
I watched some of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I watched some Daredevil. I watched Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. I watched what is it, the other one? Iron Fist? And or whatever it is. She's in no Defenders. But that's because all the TV shows just don't seem good to me. The movies, the movies and the TV shows, they get lumped together, but I don't think they're actually made by any of the same people, especially at this
so.
point. If you really want to get into it, I mean, like Marvel Studios that makes the movies is now basically an independent division inside of Disney, whereas the TV shows are still sort of a subsidiary, I think, of the comics.
Weird.
Parent company, like Marvel Entertainment and Marvel Studios are not
I didn't know
100% disconnected, but they're also not the same
Yep.
managers. Whatever. I think they have completely different issues, and this could be my own crappy half-hour-long rant because I watched too much Marvel stuff. I think the movies, the TV shows are actually just bad TV shows.
Yeah.
In my opinion, whatever.
No, I haven't seen any of them other than
the
Jessica
movies
Jones, which I thought
have
was fine, but I know
a
it
totally
was
different problem to me, which is I think they're Disney or Marvel or whoever has found that it is basically easier to never move anything forward or undergo any change. So the movies always kind of are almost this like cyclical loop where a character acts like something important has happened, but it's undermined just enough that they can continue to be themselves, which I guess is the complaint that people would have about superhero comics in general.
They basically,
long-term.
to me, just I mean, they kind of always were, but like they really do just feel like filmic representations of comic books at this point, which to me is not a great trend, but whatever.
Yeah, I
fine.
was really into the Marvel movies when they first came out because it just I hadn't seen anything like that of just this huge, large form serialized thing multiple times a year. You
fucking
get
enjoyed the
of
first Avengers
just
as a popcorn movie.
And
it was fine, and then now it's just.
I still go watch all of that stuff, but it feels to me like the equivalent of just binge watching a really expensive TV show to me, where it's like, it's fine, but like. Even less happens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe than happens in over 2 seasons of a TV show. It's really strange.
It's become complete cotton candy where it's just immediately out of your mind and just totally pointless and just dissolves away into nothing.
That's not. I've seen very few of these movies, and I have to say that as someone who isn't like bought in to the saga, the one like when I actually go and bother seeing one, it's probably once a year at most at this point, and they tend to be the ones that I suspect will not be part of the big thing because I don't fucking know. Like I haven't seen any of these sort of Avengers like string of them.
Yeah.
You know, like the Avengers or the sort of ones that feel like they're part
like
of that.
Iron Man and Captain America. Yeah.
Well, I saw the first 2 Iron Men before the like emergence of this like Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. So I've seen like the first 2 Iron Mans. There's only good ways to say that. I just realized Iron Man's both hilarious. I've seen those 2. I've seen both Guardians of the Galaxies, which I both liked, and I liked it in the second one. There was even less of the like big shit that they tried to tie in. At least it seemed to me. I might have been missing.
There was less
things,
big shit.
Yeah, it seemed like there was. I watched on a plane. I watched Doctor Strange, and I found things to like in it.
Yeah,
but. Also, is like most of it's left me except for the like all the crazy Inception stuff.
I always find things to like within them, but then immediately forget them and find that they are, even though they are like technically all tied together in some way. I don't really care about that. So even that is just like,
my one opinion that like actually I think has any validity about these, because I don't really just know what to say about them in general because I just don't care that much. But the thing I do really care about, even though it's none of my business and I'm not like enough of a Marvel fan to be allowed to have this opinion, but I really think it's true, is when they started making these movies, they had that fucking incredible Marvel production studio ID logo.
That was made for the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yes. The page turning.
The comic book pages flipping.
That was
so fucking good.
I swear to fucking God. And now, the ones I wanted to barf when I saw that. I don't know how long they've been doing this, but I only.
It's been like the last.
Well, the logo's
year.
been playing as long as they've been doing it.
No. The logo's new now.
I know. I'm saying that thing is like fucking 2 minutes long. The thing you're describing.
Okay, but it's not the length of it.
I know.
Which is also part of it.
But
I mean,
it's just
the old one was great because it was like 8 seconds or whatever, and it was just perfect and really like
really nice motion graphics, and you could feel the heritage of.
You could feel the history in the comic book art, right? It just felt like important, even if like me, you don't even have a lot.
Now it looks like you're in the hotel lobby of the Marvel Hotel, and it's like invest in our real estate. Right?
You see all these
like stock footage of Captain America sliding in and stuff. Oh, it's bad.
It's like aesthetically disgusting, and it feels like, just based on what you two are saying about the trajectory of this stuff, it totally feels like a microcosm of the larger direction. Like,
I mean, a lot of it has gotten very self-serious, so I feel like that's a reflection of it.
Yeah. I hadn't watched any of them in a couple years, and then in the last few months, I saw both Guardians of the Galaxy. I probably hadn't watched one since Guardians of the Galaxy 1, whenever that came out. And then in the last couple months, I saw both Doctor Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I wanted to barf when I saw that shit. I think it looks like, I seriously think it looks like trash, and I don't understand how, like, it sucks to see that the like identity of these current exact. It sucks that the like aesthetic decision about that is just clearly trumped by someone's directive about having to show off the current.
You're exactly correct. The reason that is there is because that is the Marvel Studios side. If you see like an X-Men movie which is owned by Marvel,
Fox,
the brand, but Fox has the film rights, a logo at least kind of derived from the old one plays in front of that, because that's just Marvel. And then the one that's like, this is the place to go to really get Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. They like blast that in front of it to try and differentiate
it. Looks like
shit.
Shit.
It's a mistake.
I hate it.
As long as we're hating, I do want to say one thing. Which is like, I went and saw Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, which like I felt was fairly.
People like that.
Yeah, it was a fine sort of popcorn movie.
And that
whatever.
was one of the Sony ones, or that was a
That was a weird combo. It's a
Okay.
combo.
Yeah, I mean, it was disposable in the same way that all this stuff is disposable, but it was fine. I thought it was, but the thing that I don't like about that movie and that I don't like about these, it's kind of what you were saying, Chris, but like. The character of Spider-Man does not change in that film at all. Like, he basically is just like, it's cool to be Spider-Man, and that's it for the entire experience.
Yeah, it's really
There
strange.
are characters in the movie that I'm way more interested in than I am in Spider-Man, and if the movie was about them, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, but it's fucking not. And, like, every one of these movies now is, I think, like falling.
I feel like a grumpy,
just,
curmudgeonly person about this. But like my sort of most crass attitude about it, as someone who really does enjoy a ton of these movies and goes and watch them, is they will never like make Captain America make a mistake or do something bad or whatever, even if it gets corrected, quote unquote, in the next movie a year later, because that's a year where they would probably see a tangible drop off in Captain America merchandise.
Oh yeah,
like people just wouldn't buy the T-shirt if he's a shithead.
Yeah,
but like it was really weird to watch a Spider-Man movie that was not about with great power comes great responsibility. It was very strange.
It's very odd.
I was talking to Ollie about it, and he predicted what is like a thing that will never happen, but was my favorite, like inside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe way to get Robert Downey Jr. out of it because he seems to want to leave, and fix Spider-Man, which is to have Iron Man on his way out say that line and then die, and that cracked me up. I was like, oh, that's what the internet would eat up, but they'll never do that.
No.
Anyway, you know
what?
We should do a passive-aggressive Marvel Cinematic Universe hate watch podcast.
God,
Apparently, we should not. But think of the millions we'd make off YouTube if we did that, Chris. If we all watch all the movies and then just say, "Here's what's wrong with them" over and over again for
Marvel
hours.
Cinema Sins.
You know what is a bummer? Totally.
Oh my God!
You know what's
Christ.
No, seriously, like totally unrelated to Marvel specifically. That is such a bummer about
that just
the way
exists
YouTube works now. Is just like it's so clear how you can easily abuse that and just rack it up
frame by frame. What's wrong with this movie?
Yeah, we should just do a series called When You Think About It, and then it's just us listing everything that's bad but actually a meaningless criticism.
The thing is,
all
right, Matt asks, what are the best and worst, now that we spent 20 minutes talking about Marvel movies, Matt
what's your favorite Marvel movie?
What are the best and worst
There's something nice about it.
What are the best and worst game trades you've ever made? I can remember my brother trading our copy of Secret of Mana for his friend's Chrono Trigger, being upset initially, but then very okay with it. I can also remember trading my copy of Halo 2 in for credit to buy Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus, which I'll never not regret. That's funny.
Okay, I will tell you my best and worst.
Okay.
Nice.
My best trade was when I was working at Telltale Games. And Jason Bergman, who used to write for Shack News, who you guys both worked with, was working at 2K Games, and we traded Steam developer keys. So I now, still to this day, get every Take-Two game unlocked on Steam automatically, and he presumably still gets every Telltale game unlocked.
Right.
I feel like I came out ahead in that because, like, even just like whatever you think about either studio's games,
The quantity is
Take-Two
on it,
releases a shitload of games and they all cost $60. Telltale releases stuff that costs like $20 and they put a couple things out a year. I came out ahead. Worst trade, I was only allowed one video game magazine subscription, and at one point in my life I decided that it was a good idea to replace my Nintendo Power subscription with a GamePro subscription. What in the world was I
You
thinking?
were growing up.
Major Nelson,
Probably was like, maybe I'm outgrowing Nintendo. And then I was like, oh jeez. What a mistake.
Jeez.
What a mistake. So there you go. That's my best and worst.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know that I can really remember it. I never really was enough of a console person to do much of this to begin with, but there was one case where I think it wasn't a trade, but I think I bought a full price copy of I don't remember what, because I do remember what it was. It was Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox.
Yep.
When that came out.
God, that was such a big deal, that game, in a certain crowd.
Yeah, it was. And I took it home, and I started playing it, and I'm like, wow, I'm terrible at this. And then, legitimately, I swear to God, like, it was there was a point in the game where it was actually non-functional. I don't remember.
Scratch CD.
I don't remember if it was a bug in the game, if it was
lazy
a scratch
devs.
disc, but there was something that legitimately prevented progress in a hard sense, not in a it's a gameplay bug. It's like, no, this is fucked. Like, I in fact cannot play any more of this. And I took it back to the store, and I remember I bought I bought one new and one used game, and I don't remember which was which, but I believe I bought like the new Katamari Damacy and a copy of Beyond Good and Evil. And that was like the best possible. That was like the most amazing possible swap. I mean, I know people loved Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox, but I mean,
but we love Katamari and Beyond Good and Evil is a fucking combo of timeless stuff.
Yeah. Also, speaking of, I mean, now that I remember that it exists, in terms of the question of what are you looking forward to upcoming?
Oh, Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2. What a weird.
It looks weird.
It's a prequel for one thing.
Yeah.
Which makes it weird that they called it Beyond Good and Evil 2, because I don't know that enough people remember Beyond Good and Evil for the 2 to
They probably don't
matter.
care.
Yeah, I guess they don't care.
A lot of big video game series have numbers attached to them, and it's meaningless. Other than just it conveys that it is.
I don't mean that I'm like bothered by the chronology of it. I just mean it doesn't feel like that game is like legendary enough.
No, but I think that putting the 2 on it might imbue it with that. Where it's like the sequel to the critically acclaimed. I mean, everyone's going crazy about it.
That's what Bethesda did with Fallout 3.
I feel like that's what they did with Grand Theft Auto 3 back in the day too, where it was like, I mean,
that's true.
They were like that.
Although I will say, Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 were both successful.
They were, but they weren't.
Games.
3 had that feeling of inevitable success before it even came out.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was a total like branding switch, and like 2 generations later and stuff.
Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is basically going to be the Grand Theft Auto 3 of next gen.
So true, Jake. Well predicted.
I know what video games are.
Nick, do you have any
you read GamePro?
I would rate it that
wow
face.
Yeah. Whoa. Hey. I never traded any games. I never did trading.
I worked at a video game store in which we took a lot of I worked at a Game Crazy.
I bought used games occasionally. Actually, the best used game I ever bought was this Super Nintendo game called King Arthur's World, which is, I think, probably it's one of those games that I bet like 1,000 people played this game in total.
Right.
But I remember renting it probably like 20 times. I fucking loved this game. It was essentially like Lemmings, except that each of the units had like
game.
Yeah, it was really quirky and kind of an interesting combination of ideas. And I remember my local Blockbuster would just have fire sales of just like used games.
Well, this game has an intense cover.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's an
like
intense game, kind of.
Escher rendering of an interior.
It's not at all what you would expect when you play this game.
That's not what the game looks like, though. The game looks like Lemmings.
Yeah,
but like a castle.
Yeah, it's good, but I remember picking that game up for I think like $1 as a used like Blockbuster game that they were just never like nobody was renting it but me, and then I felt like so triumphant that I never had to rent that thing again. It was mine, and I had the stupid Blockbuster sticker on it, and I was fine.
Nice.
It felt
That's
gross,
great.
but anyway, whatever. That's all I got.
Yeah. Cool.
Is that all we got?
No, got a couple more. Not many. Torbjorn Grunevik Dahl writes, is it so that if I ask more than one question in my post, you will answer them all, even though we're technically only allowed one and they don't accumulate over time?
No.
Well, did he ask another question? Because that's the way to test it.
What was the first question again?
Well, that was one combined question. That was one big, long question.
Yeah.
Is it so that if I ask more than one question in my post, you will answer them all, even though we're technically...
Oh, no. The answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no. I mean, I will say that empirically, based on other questions that have been asked, the answer is kind of yes, because we've definitely answered some that have multiple questions.
I only said no in case he asked another question.
No, it's true. But I will say that all of those cases, they were really, I would classify the totality of what was asked as a single question with a lot of context.
So you are like the benevolent genie type.
I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt, yes. I'm not trying to hoist people here. But if you disrespect the spirit of the law, you may find yourself hoisted. J.D. Cohen writes, have you considered using your fancy camera array to stream live play of a tabletop RPG?
We just
talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it last month.
Yeah.
I'd suggest Fiasco. There is no advanced prep necessary, and nobody has to referee.
Cool.
Have you guys played Fiasco?
I haven't.
I feel like people have recommended that exact game to us before, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. And yeah, we definitely have talked about doing that, obviously, as we just said.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't hold your breath, honestly.
Because look at all the streaming we've
given history, yeah. But It's a good idea, and we should do that, but we'll see. Tom Grundy asks, what shoes do y'all wear?
Either Converse All-Star low tops or some like just leather outdoor boots. What do I have on today? Oh, my camera's
got
not
those
on.
Converse All-Stars.
Nice.
Which camera's on right now?
That one.
Oh. I have like brown leather lace-up shoes.
You have like a man's shoe.
They're like
a grown-up shoe.
Basically dress shoes, but for daily walking, I guess.
Got your walking
They're made
shoes.
by Clark's. I like Clark's. I buy a lot of Clark's. Nick, you didn't answer.
Oh.
Nick's not wearing shoes.
Yeah, no.
No, just no shoes?
No shoes. I'm wearing like a black pair of Nikes.
Black Nikes.
They're all black, so I can get away with going to a restaurant in them.
You asshole.
I fucking love it. I have nice like black leather shoes that I occasionally wear if I'm going someplace that's actually nice. But like this is good up to like 3 out of 4 stars.
Sure. I find that I don't really like wearing black shoes. If I'm gonna wear nice shoes, I gravitate towards brown leather. Yeah. Weird question, weird ansers. But totally fine to ask.
That's all of them. Got to end on the shoes, just like we do.
Ending on shoes like you do. Like you do's. Thank you for joining us on the Idle Thumbs Ruination Online for August 2017, like you do's. We will be back on this feed soon with another episode of Idle Thumbs, the video game podcast. If you want to be able to ask us questions on this recurring monthly stream, you can do so by backing our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/idlethumbs, and the details about which tiers apply are all in there.
RK Sanders asked, any plans to do a video game podcast?
We just recorded one yesterday morning, coming out soon. Those come out every month.
Yeah.
Yep. You'll have to wait for the first month of September. Sorry.
The first month of September.
First week of September. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you for joining us. We will be back soon for Idle Thumbs, and then again for another one of these, and also every week for our other podcast, Important If True. Bye.
Bye. When you do it for real, it's fine. Let's do it for real. What if we did it for
Nick,
real?
What if you weirdly just sabotage it by being quiet?
That's my long game. That's
know
been the
it is.
last
It's
how
the
many
worst
years of these
long game.
podcasts?
It's the worst fucking game.
What if this is my podcast voice?
Huh?